All right. So at very end here, we'll just do a very simple title, produced by your name. Real simple. Not going to get real crazy. And I did a tutorial on this, but let's go ahead and do it in class. So if you want to do a simple rolling title, and you can do a static title too if you want. Okay. But we can do a rolling title and tack it on to the end of this. All right. All right. So there we are. All right, so here we'll go to our effects control. I'm sorry, not effects control. We'll go into our workspace, and you can do this a couple of ways, right? You can add it to your existing workspace by simply going Window, and where is it? There it is, right? You can just tack it on. If you don't want to do that, then let me do that for a second, right? Tack it on, and then you can save that as a new workspace, right? Window, workspace, save as new workspace, right? Which I did, and that's what I have here, right? So I'm going to close that right now. And so when you do that, you can just simply jump into it. So for example, here I'm jumping into that workspace with the essential graphics. But if I want to go back to my original regular editing one, I have it here too, editing 2022. And I go like that and boom. Well, it just kind of resized it. So I got to, there you go. There's my program. See, so I can jump back and forth like that. Okay. So however you want to do it, I'm going to go back into the workspace that includes that, resize this. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right. So here we go. So let's use the basic rolling title. Okay. So my playhead is approximately where it's going to go. That's not a big deal. I'm going to go into edit. Right. And down here, I have this little new layer icon, which I can click, and it gives me text. Right. So we'll click on that, and that opens up this whole interface. It gives me this text in a bounding box, and I can grab it and move it just like I could. You can grab it just like you did it in the whatchamacallit, Legacy Tiler, right? You can move it around, put it here, right? Let me give myself a little more room in these workspaces. Okay. Right. And it shows up also if you've got your effects control open, it also opens it up here, and you can see it here. And you have access up here that it adds, in addition to the inherent, the built-in motion effects, right? It also adds its own, and it's under vector motion. Okay. And you have position, scale, rotation, anchor right here. Okay. We'll deal with that in a second. Okay. Right. And so here you've got your text. If you double click here, you can come down here, select your text, double click, and you can highlight and type in, produced by or whatever, and then hit enter just like you did, me, etc. If you want to do a little, rolling title, go down and type in the end. Okay, the end. Where's my caps? The end. Okay. And to reposition that, you can actually open it up here in position, right? And you can scroll it here. So you can kind of test, if you want to come in with, produced by me, and then the end. Okay. So you could do, you could start your keyframe here and then come up through here. So you could make your first keyframe here. You're literally just sliding it on the y-axis. All right. And then I think it gives you about 5 seconds. You can see that it's over here in the timeline. It dropped it right in the timeline, right? If you want to magnify that, right? And then I'll come, about 5 seconds in, a few seconds in, add another keyframe, adjust that Y value, and set the endpoint. So it's kind of just like what you did with the legacy tiler in the rolling title, but you're just doing it here now in your effects control, right? And so now you can preview it, and there it comes, right? Boom, and then it hits that last point. And so basically what used to be the post roll, right, where that last keyframe told it to end, and then however much more time you wanted it to sit on screen. Now you can just simply extend your clip. If you want it to sit up there, right now it's sitting up there for like half a second. You want to sit up there for a couple more seconds, stretch it out a few more seconds, and that's all you got to do. The keyframe is here. It will now just sit for the last couple of seconds. And so here it goes, comes up, it holds, and 1, 2, 3, and your clip's done. Okay. And then if you want to give it that little nuance ending, if you want to adjust that interpolation, you can right click on that keyframe just like you could before, temporal interpolation, and do an ease in. Right. And so now it will give you a softer landing. Right. Produced by me. It comes up the end. There it goes. It gives you like that, kind of slides into place. Okay. Right. And if you want to change the text, the fonts, you have font choices down here, right? And you have all the usual options that you have. You name it. You got regular fonts, bold, all this kind of stuff, slanted, all that stuff. So basically, it's just like what you had in the titler, right? You can even do additional if you want to center it up. Reposition. So you have lots of ways to align and do all that. I generally will just kind of put it where I want it, and then I fine tune it over here in the effects control. Okay. You've got fill options here. There you go. And if you have it over a background, right? So let's just say hypothetically you had this over a background.
Professor, do they have gradients?
Yeah, I have not seen. Okay.
I didn't see that either. I was disappointed in that.
I did not see that in here anywhere. You can add, you can add a stroke. Sorry. I want to make it black. Hang on, I hate that red. Let me make it white. Right. So there we are. There's a stroke, and I can add another stroke. Right. Well, I didn't really want that one. I want this one. And you have the value here. So if you want that to be a little wider, type it in. And
so, Professor, I'm having an issue where I can't move the text without having to do the position scale thing. But whenever I type up like produced by my name, it's cutting it off.
Here, let's try it again. Hang on.
Yeah.
All right. So let me get rid of Caleb there. So it's all right. So go edit text, right? Opens it up, and it automatically drops it in your timeline. And this should have given me a 5-second duration here. Yeah, it's a little bit shorter, almost 5 seconds. Close enough. Right. So I'm in the text tool here. So I'm going to go to my selection tool, which it should have been defaulted to, I thought. So, okay, so you're coming here, right? And then you're double clicking here. Right. When you double click over here on the right side in the essential graphics, it highlights it, and then it gives you the type tool. You see how my pointer is now like a cursor. I click and I just highlight over it, and then I type whatever. So you're saying, right, you hit enter and you type your name, Joe, and then what? It's cutting it off. Yeah, I mean, mine's
like,
cutting it off.
If I did my full name, like say I just did Michael Lindenbaum, it would cut off where I would get to. Oh, hold on, give me a sec.
Your other name.
Yeah, so it would cut off when I type in the B. So anything after my B would be cut off, and then.
All right. So if you're, let's try your name. So if I type in here Michael, right?
Yeah.
And you want to do Lindenbaum to the right. Oh, because it won't let you go to the right.
Yeah. So it cuts me off. Like now I reinserted this one thing for like the 4th time, and now I'm getting it to
hang on. Now it's, I see. Well, you know what? I think you want to try to make it fit in this screen. So you might have to adjust the size of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And down here in the align and transform, you see this little icon right here, toggle animation for scale. So you might have to just scale it, because if it's going off screen, then it's going to cut it off, right? So if you have a longer name like that, and remember, you want to stay inside. You still have the same rules. You want to stay inside the title safe here. Okay. And I think if you go back to the selection tool, there you go. You get those bounding boxes, right? If I hit Control T, does it let me? Okay, it doesn't give me the arrow keys, but I can still physically adjust it here. You see that? So you may just have to scale down your font to get it to fit. And now if you go back here, then you can click on your text tool, right? And where am I here? Hang on. Right, there I am. I go forward. And I think I'm way down here now. Edit it. Okay, so I'm way down here now, edited by, you know, Bob or something. And I think I can, if I reduce space here. So there, so that gives me a space. I can click at the end of your name or my name and make more space. So if I want a little more distance between the titles, right? And then I turn on my position keyframes here in the effects control. And then I can adjust it with the Y. So I can position, it's just like you're positioning any title. Pretend it's a static title, right? But you roll it here.
Yeah, it just threw me off because when I did my rolling graphics for Project 3, I actually picked one of the essential graphics that was already in place. So it kind of made it a little easier to create.
Yeah, I had to do something like that to me on one of them the other day, and I didn't know if it was just my computer freezing up, but they're all very different. Not very different, but some, you know, they're like the video effects that we have been tapping into. You can see that every video effect has its own unique set of parameters. Some have 5 or 6, some of them have like, you know, 30. It all depends on what that effect is trying to do.
I'm sorry, did you say grammars?
Grammars, video effects.
Video effects. Yeah, I missed a word there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just comparing the parameters.
Parameters. Thank
of
you.
each effect are very different. Just like with the essential graphics, and we'll look at a few now. You know, they're all going to be a little different because they're some of them are specifically aimed at working with titles, but some of them are also really a lot like the track mat. Remember the track mat we did? It was a title track mat that we did where we put an image like on video 1. We typed the title, put it on 2, and then we applied this track mat effect on the video layer, and then we shot it through as the fill for the title, right? And then we could animate the title. Some of these that they have here in the essential graphics are that, but they already have the movement built in. All you do is just drop in the image. Okay. So some are really designed for specific titles. Some of them are more sort of like for opens or, you know, promos or little bumps that you might have in between shows or whatnot. Okay. So that's the rolling title there. And then of course, you know, you get it to do your move or whatever, right? And, you know, you add your keyframe. So that's my end frame. And let's go and set my beginning frame, right? So there's my beginning and it will do my roll, right? So it's something you've already done. And you can actually even do it down here if you want in the motion effects, right? And so if you go back to that keyframe and say, well, that's a little bit high, let me adjust it and let's end it here, right? And then you can set your ease in and smooth it out, right? So it comes in, right? And if you want to slow it down, you can, you know, you adjust the keyframes. If you want to speed it up, there you go, right? It'll just have more post-roll, as they say. It'll just sit longer on that last title. So pretty much basically what you did on Project 2. And if you don't want to do it up here, you can do it down here in Motion Effects. But you don't want to do it in both because that's kind of canceling out one or the other. But it gives you this automatically because it's tied directly to this whole template. Okay, although here it also gives you a roll option. So I haven't played with this intro, and so it kind of gives you this option here. I like doing it here myself personally. I find it's very intuitive because it's similar to what we did before. Okay, so so take that and slap that on the end of you know, of your Project 4, and actually you can even if you're on a mouse, I'm just scrolling up and down on the little wheel on the mouse here, and you can see it going back and forth. So I don't want Michael to get credit for all of my work, so I'm going to go ahead and change my name here, right? There you go. Produced by Prof G, and I'll just say the end. Okay, there we go. So my project is done, and I can just hit enter there, and same thing, right? So you just, oops. Okay, so slap it on there on the end of your piece. Throw a little dissolve on there. Okay. Let me get one of my video transitions. Just go ahead and slap a dissolve. And it's not really giving me, oh, I see what it's doing. Oh, so maybe I have to trim that front part a little bit because it's not letting me. So I might have to trim that a little bit. Bring it in and cross dissolve. Okay, this is going to give me a end at dissolve. That's fine. 16 frames is good. So it'll fade to black and then it'll fade up. Oh, and then when you also do that, everybody, at the end, when you come out of these guys walking away, here, I'm going to go back to my other workspace because I'm running out of room. Here we go. When you come out of the end and the kids are walking away, also do an audio crossfade on your audio. So it doesn't just end abruptly, see? Right? So do an audio crossfade here. You want to keyframe it, that's fine, or come up into your effects and go into audio transitions, crossfade, constant power, and just slap it on the end of that audio. And you can shorten it, just trim it back so it's about the same length as your fade here, right? And it'll look like that. Okay, so it'll be a nice smooth out and it'll fade up. And there's your title. Let it sit for a second and you're done. Oh, and then fade to black at the end, right? So just add a little black at the very end of that, right? New item, black, boom, right? I just slap it on. Trim it down to about 2 seconds, just so it goes fully to black, and then add another dissolve right here. So before I forget about that. So you fade to, you fade into the title and you fade to black, make that 15 frames. Okay. Right. So you're nice and clean ending. You walk off, fades to black, you do your quick title, blah, 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 and then fade to black and give it a couple seconds of black after that. Okay. And that's it. Oops. Okay. So then your piece is completely done. And you've got it all in there. Okay. And then we'll export. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to do the export here. Okay. First thing, you've got it all complete. You've got your yellow line. You want to mark your in and out. Basically mark your sequence, right? So go to the very beginning, go to the very end, mark out, and you've got that section blocked off. Okay, and then you come up to sequence and you do render into out. Should be a pretty quick render, but we're not converting anything. We're just finalizing all the clips, and there we go. It will start playing, and sure, you can go ahead and check it out. Right, you can do that on your own. Okay, so now you've rendered. You've got your green line, everything's ready to go. Keep your markers in place. Okay, we're going to come up here to export, which is the new shortcut, right? We used to be able to go here, right, with your timeline active. You could come up to file, right, and go export media. You can still do that, but now you can also come right over here. You have these shortcuts that they've added with the upgrade. Go to export, right? You get it looks similar. If this button is not selected here in the left side, which is a source panel, it says media file. You want to turn that on. Okay, unless you're publishing to these other places, these other platforms, just keep those off for now. Let's keep it simple. Media file that shows up here. Currently, your sequence is called Caleb made sequence, right? So here it is. So this is very similar now to what you had before. It's kind of reversed because this stuff on the right sometimes kind of used to be on the left, and then this stuff in the center used to be on the right. So for your file name, make sure you name it appropriately. So I'm going to name it my first initial, last name, underscore P4, boom, underscore, and then PM, right? So that's where that's going. Location, right? I'll go find my location. Looks like I already have a copy there, which is fine. I'm just going to say replace for now. Okay, that won't be the case because unless you've exported it, it won't show up for you. But I did this export already, so I'm just going to replace it. Okay, and let's go with format H.264 because this is, as we discussed, is going to keep that file size small. And I would recommend on this one, we've been doing the YouTube preset, but that's because we've been working in 1080. This is a 4:3 standard definition video. So let's do the match source adaptive high bit rate. And if you drop down, if that doesn't show up, you have more presets here, but that should be right up here at the top. So this is going to be the highest quality that we can do that will actually match the source. In other words, it's not going to convert anything. It's going to keep the same file format and the settings that came in that you edited in, but now it's just going to basically just bake it all together. So go with that adaptive high bit rate, right? You've got the folder where it's going in, and you can go in here and mess with some of these settings, but you shouldn't have to because that's a preset, right? So that's all done. So leave everything alone, and pretty much, I mean, here, this is where you kind of check what is being exported. So you can always scroll through there, make sure it goes all the way through the title and black, and there's your in and outs, right? Right, your sources range in and out. Here it gives you basic breakdown of what your settings are. Okay, now we're not, this is actually 24p as they call it, so it's 23.976, so it's not going to be 29.976 because this material was actually shot in 24 frames per second as opposed to 30. There's our 720 by 480 standard def, and then again, here's the source, and then here's the output, right? So this is what you're going to wind up with, right? Very similar, H.264, etc. And pretty, not the highest target bit rate, but that's okay. And everything else, so the estimated file size should be about 28 megs. So click export, and off we go. It should not take very long. This is now saying, of course, because it sees that clip that I already exported, you more than likely will not get this unless you've already exported it and you're exporting into the same folder, right? So in this case, I'm going to replace it just to finish the process, right? So you probably won't even see that. And it's going to do the quick export, and it was very fast. It gives me a little confirmation down here on the right. And so we can go check that, make sure it's there, right? I'm going to minimize this, and I put this in my D folder. It was in here, and there it is. I redid this today on Thursday morning to make it a little quicker, and there it is. And so you can open that up. And hang on a second, I'm not sure I'm sharing this. There we go, there we go, there we go. There it is where it saved it, right? And there it is. There's the MPEG-4. It's about 28 megs, right? So I can always open that and take a look at it real quick and just confirm your piece plays well.